What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marvin Melendez. You're listening to another episode of All My Friends Talk, where I talk to all my creative artists, advocates, and just all around amazing friends. Um, this conversation was so much fun to have. I had a conversation with Monique Schmitt. She is a writer, a poet, and she recently launched a TikTok account talking about her poetry and talking about her writing. This conversation is so much fun. We talked about TikTok. We talked about just the craft of poetry. For those who don't know, I started performing regularly as a spoken word poet. So it's really meaningful for me to have another poet on the podcast. We talked about parenting. We talked about mental health. It was just all around just a fun conversation. If you're listening to just the audio, there's definitely a few moments where you'll hear. You can definitely see in the podcast on the visual side if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram. But if you're just listening to the audio version, uh, there's a couple times where I'm either trying to quietly and subtly, but failed at being subtle, talk to my wife, who is also taking care of a very grumpy 5-month-old son of ours. So it was actually, I think, my first time having them both in the house while I was doing the podcast. So it was just interesting and odd experience, but also so much fun. So you'll definitely see those moments in this podcast as well, which is cool. It made it more genuine, I feel. Either way, I really hope you enjoy it and comment and let me know what you think. Thanks.
What? Monique,
Hey.
what's happening? How you
Oh,
doing?
yeah, no. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay. How are you?
I am good.
Yeah.
I will say, and like, I know we just talked about this off air, but like, I just came in with like a full hectic energy, so like trying to help get the baby set up for bedtime and things like that. And
I
I
get
actually
it.
was listening to your TikToks as like, so I can transition into this to like calm down, like as a sense of calming. I like actually
Yeah.
played some of your TikToks, so I want you to know like you're actually it
Well, I
was very
mean,
calming.
that's great preparation, you know?
Yeah. Oh man. But once again, thank you so much for coming on. I know I'm really, really excited. And also I'm glad that like I think you're the first like actual poet I've had on, which
No
is
way.
yes, which is
And you're
so
a
exciting
poet.
for me. Yes. So
Come
like
on.
I haven't been this pumped about like a podcast. I feel like every podcast I say that it's like this is the one I'm most excited for, but really like I am because I haven't had many people to actually like talk about the craft with. So it's
Yeah.
this would be really fun. So
Yeah. I really appreciate you having me here and reaching out. Just thank you so much. Um it's been a good process, a good journey. So I just thank you for giving me this space to share with you what's been going on.
yeah, so let's let's break it down step by step. So you I guess this is more recently that you've been doing these spoken word TikTok things,
Hmm.
correct?
Yes.
So
Um,
what started that journey?
it was actually, I was on this Clubhouse call. Do you know the app Clubhouse?
Yeah. I'm not cool
Okay.
enough to I'm not on it yet, so
Then I have to
I should
send
come
you a
on.
link. I have to send you an invite. Do you have an iPhone or Android?
Yeah, I got an iPhone.
I can send it to you. Hey.
Will do.
But I was on this, I was on this, in this room hosting this group about what pushes you forward in your creative process and your creative journey. And like, I dive right into being just like, I'm a writer, right? Like I love to write, I love to tell stories, but poetry has been something that's been very difficult for me to get back into for many reasons. One of them being, oh, like where am I gonna perform my pieces, right? Like
Mm,
what we used to do back in the day. We used to just
yeah.
share it and we used to just speak it, and now it's like everything's different, everything's changed. And the second thing is, in this clubhouse room, we were talking about what pushes us forward. And it was overall a really encouraging call. And then and for a while I've just been praying a lot about um what is like, Lord, help me write something. Like I just need something. And on this one particular night, the very next day, I was getting ready for bed, and I was about to throw my clothes on the chair, and I thought, and just a line just started coming to my head, which is usually what happens whenever I'm in a creative mode. I just start thinking about rhymes and I can't help it.
Yeah.
And I start just thinking like, wait, before you go to bed, just put that one shirt away. And I thought, okay, so maybe if I write this right now, and if I film this right now, maybe it'll encourage someone else because I know that I'm not alone in this. So it just started like 3 weeks ago, like me writing again. And every time I start writing more and more and
Whoa.
more, I feel like this sense of unlocking another level of freedom and pushing past this veil that I feel like the Lord has another blessing, that it's not it, and it's the blessing because I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes to what he is asking me to do. And I was sharing this with someone else about this process, but every time I've also written something, I have felt like a weird external circumstantial like attack in some way, mentally, emotionally. Last week I had a nervous breakdown. It's been a really rough week. I posted another poem in the process of it. And again, today I had another mini breakdown. So yeah, it's been definitely up and down, but I feel like I need to keep writing.
Wow. Um, I want to go two directions with this real quick because so when you say breakdown, do you mind explaining what you mean by that for the odd like for the people listening?
Yes. So today my sweet husband is vacuuming, so I had to mute myself really quick. Your question was what I mean by breakdown today.
Yeah. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's
No.
totally fine.
No, I think it's helpful to talk about these things, because then maybe it's helpful for another person to know that they're not alone, which is kind of a weird dynamic where it's like whenever it comes to mental health. Like I said, this is the only place for me to be alone right now. When it comes to talking about mental health, there's this like weird stigma where it's like, no, I must suffer alone in this. And that's why I am so open about it. But with a breakdown today, I was feeling really overwhelmed. My son was not going to sleep for a nap. He wanted to play. He kept knocking the door. And being in this apartment, the walls are very thin. And I was nervous that he would wake up. Our daughter sleeping in the very next room, which we have to put her down for a nap in the other room. And fast forward, he wasn't sleeping. After an hour, I finally brought him out to the living room. And I thought, okay, maybe I could just lay down next to him and just try to sleep a little bit. 5 minutes later, Lily wakes up and I started feeling like this anxiety, like, oh, great. Both kids are up and I don't feel ready at all to be a mom. I don't feel ready to be a mom in this moment right now. And I went, I got her, I brought her out, and I let them watch TV, and I snuggled with both of them next to me on the couch. I was like, y'all are gonna sit here with me. I need to sleep because I need to sleep this off. And fast forward, I was trying to make them dinner. Between the yelling and the crying and them trying to chase each other, I felt like my head was spinning. I couldn't pause one moment to pick up. I couldn't compartmentalize. When I tried to like, okay, what's for dinner? I got to make them dinner. I have to make me and my husband dinner. Like, what do I do right now? What do I do? And I froze. It was this fight or flight mode, and I had neither fight nor flight. I froze. And I sat on the kitchen floor. I texted my husband, can you come home a little earlier? And he's like, yes. And I was literally on the kitchen floor. The only thing I could do was scroll on my phone, and then I'd put my phone down and I'd pray. Like, I had no other prayer words except help. help me, Holy Spirit, help me. Like I couldn't move forward in many ways. And that's what I feel like a breakdown looked like for me. Hard breathing, feeling very alone, feeling like my brain just couldn't process many things.
You are incredibly, one, I would just say brave, like you're talking about it. You also, I feel like in the past, what I've seen is that you are like open to supporting others, like in that same headspace. You're not like, uh, but you're also you share a lot about it. I mean, you obviously shared something very vulnerable. And thank you for sharing. You talk about it in your writings. Why? And I think you know I think you do a good job. I feel like artists who share their mental struggles, either they share like too much and becomes triggering for some people, right? And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen that. Like I remember there's one podcast I was listening to, and one person asked one question. I was like, oh, that's like an inappropriate question. And the guest kept going. I was like, turning this off. And I just shut it down, right? And so they shared too much. Or you have artists like me who I don't share a thing. You know what I mean? Like I will make it very vague in my writings, or like or make an analogy like, okay, well, instead of it being this situation, I'm just gonna say it's this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why stay so open? Why share about it? Why keep doing this, in the process of you're trying to heal yourself, you know?
Yeah. That's such a good question. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, I don't know if a lot of people like think about that really. I would probably compare it to like music or someone writing a book. There are or filming a movie. There are a lot of disclaimers that people give, parental advisory warning, foul language, or this movie's rated R for this, and that. And it's up to the consumer to say, okay, I'm going to sit in this process, sit in this creative journey, and see what I can take from it, and see if this is something that I can mesh with, I can vibe with, I can like play over and over again to feel either encouraged or to like learn a lesson or something. I feel like that's in the same, like a similar vein. Um, like in my last post, I did give a trigger warning for it because I know that this can be very triggering for some people. And I never want to jump in and start immediately talking about something unless I've given some kind of like, here's a mini buffer. And if you want to stay here, you could stay. But if you need to keep scrolling, like I understand it's not for you. I get it. Um, and I think that for me to keep writing, to keep being vulnerable, there's a way to do it and share that is artistically tangible, where it's a soft blow versus a bam in your face. I'm gonna yell at you. I'm gonna yell at you, and I'm gonna throw it all at you. And I'm just like, I'm not the yell type to like throw it all at your face. As far as like, well, when I'm passionate, like that's a different story. I'll yell. But in this newfound creative outlet of doing spoken word through video, I felt like I want to just be a little calmer in my approach. And hopefully that's inviting. Hopefully by weaving the story together, it it helps people to lay down some barriers and walls to bring understanding. And I mean, I hope it encourages people. I always say that, like, I hope this like encourages you in some way to not feel as alone as you have been. Like, does that kind of
Yeah.
mesh together? Yeah.
Yeah. I loved your last video. I think what's unique is that, like, well, not so much unique, but like I remember at the first one I saw, so I remember thinking like, oh, that was cool. And then the next one you posted, I was like, oh, I like this. And the next one I was like, oh, that was really good. And I got your last one, I was like, that was so good. Like it's like each one you've increasingly gotten a little better at, you know?
I
And
thank you for saying that. Really, thank you.
yeah, they're really good though. And they're really unique. So, okay. Actually, I know I feel like I'm going off script, but I have so many
Don't go
questions. I'm
out,
very
don't
excited.
go off script. Do what you got to do, please.
So like, all right, let's talk about the craft for a minute, and I'm sure we'll dive
Sure.
back and forth. You you also I feel like I remember you from back in the day. You also went to did you study like film and like
I
that
did
aspect of
study
it?
film and video production. I got my BS in video production. So, yay!
Yeah, that's dope.
I have like a couple grand diploma that's still sitting in its tube. By the way, my husband's like, "Wait, you didn't open your diploma?" And I was like, "No, I was like moving so much that I haven't framed my diploma."
Wow. S- So I feel like that the so I feel like I could see like that skill set in your TikTok videos. You know, like
Really? Yes.
yes, they're so like they're really artsy fartsy, but like in a good way. Do you know what I mean? It's like the
Yes.
camera, and I just started getting into film, right? And
Okay.
yeah, so like I pay attention to certain things a lot more than I used to. So
Hmm.
like I don't know. So seeing your kids, seeing the certain like angles you take, or watching you fold clothes, I don't know. It's so cool. Like I feel like actually that came out super weird, but you know what I mean.
No, 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 no. It's not weird. I was folding clothes in one of them. I was doing laundry.
Yeah. So all right, what is what you kind of mentioned this in one of them that you put down your thespian ways to do poetry, right?
Hmm.
What is all right? Tell me about that.
So there's there is a point when I want to be like choosing to be vulnerable and choosing to push forward.
Yeah.
And when I mean like thespian ways, I think that it's more of like the layered characters that I put on, that I have put on for such a long time. I mean, I remember when I got into poetry, like spoken word specifically in high school, I tried to be like this, like yelling it out, like trying to be like other people. I tried to be like other people where in middle school, I'm like taking it back. I was like the emo kid, I was the goth kid, I was the grunge kid, listening to, you know, all kinds of heavy metal, like emotional rock. And then all of a sudden, I just transitioned into really heavy, like very, very dark gangster rap. And then it transitioned into like more emo. Like I was just a variety of characters that I've never allowed myself to just be who God created me to innately be. And finally, after such a long time, I'm like, I don't care. Screw it. Like, I don't want to, baby.
Yeah. Can you hear him?
No, I don't hear him. I hear you doing the dad thing where you're like, do I hear, is that a phantom cry? Oh, I've done it many times, many times.
Yeah.
But like my husband and I are in the middle of a movie and we'll pause it and but we both are on the same page. Do we hear a cry? No, press play.
Yes, I know that feeling.
It's a crazy feeling. It's a phantom cry. But taking it back, I feel like I don't want to be anyone else. I don't want to try to, no, I'm funny in my own way, but I'm not gonna have a comedy platform.
Yeah.
I'm not an influencer as far as like here are like my 5 favorite products. Like that's not me. Like
Yeah.
that's not who I am. Who I am is I am uniquely designed, created by God, for his purposes and his glory alone. And I want what I say and what I do, even in my private life, to reflect what I do in public. I mean, yeah, it's just many days I feel very, very alone in this headspace. And like my husband feels alone. I feel alone. Like it's a weird, dark season that we're in right now. And but I feel like this is a breakthrough journey for me, for us, where if, like when I keep writing and keep going, I know that the Lord has something on the other side of it, you know?
Sorry, my wife just walked
You're
in. She's like,
fine.
the baby was crying. I'm sorry. I was like, it's okay.
I can't hear the baby. You're good. And babies cry. It happens. It's fine.
I did my first podcast that I've done with the baby in the house. So we're just
This
trying
one?
to be prepared to it. Yeah.
How old's your baby right now? What's his name?
His name is Emmanuel. He's 5 months.
5 months. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cute. Oh, I miss 5-month babies.
How old are yours,
I have
if you don't mind me asking?
3 and 2. I don't mind. I never mind. If I mind, I'll say I won't answer that right now. So we're
Yeah.
good.
No, it's
They're 17 months apart, which is very close in age. It's
yeah.
very
That's
yeah.
how me and my sisters are.
Really?
So the oldest and the middle are 15 months apart, and the
Christina?
middle and no, you're thinking of Andre Rivera. My sisters are Nancy and Celeste or Nancy Lash.
Wait a second. Celeste?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know Celeste?
Yeah. I feel like I know Celeste. I haven't
Yeah,
talked to
because you know her husband Benji.
Nancy Lash.
Yes, and John Lash.
Yes, John. Oh, I love them. Oh, I hope they're well. Send them my love. Love them.
I will. Oh,
Yes, she
yeah.
married Benji. Celeste married Benji.
Celeste married Benji. Yes.
All of it's connecting. For some reason, I had in my head, oh yeah, he's related to Andre and Christina. But no.
No.
Okay. Moving forward.
Moving forward. That was a great segue. I didn't even know where we were before then. But okay, no, I feel like I get what you mean as like playing these different characters, different like this different ideas. Have you ever seen the movie 22 Jump Street?
No, but I've seen all like so many jokes about it. I need to watch it.
It's so like it's one of the few like cheesy like comedy cop movies that like the sequel is better, but it's so funny, you know. Also very inappropriate, so
Really?
you got to be careful with it. But, so like, but there's a scene in there where he somehow like gets put on the spot to he's like doing undercover work at a college campus, and
Yeah.
there's a spoken word poetry jam going on
Oh
or
dear.
same poetry, and so the
I feel
girl
like
like
everyone
figures
becomes
out.
a spoken word poet in college.
Yes, I was just thinking about this, but like, so like the girl like realizes he's just fronting like he wants to be there. She's trying. She thinks he's just hitting on her, so like she pushes it to go on stage, and he's like does this poem about a dead girl named Cynthia, and he's like, it's like, hey man, here's a mic. He goes, all right, slam poetry, waving my arms wide in crazy directions, unique perspective. It's like Jesus Christ died for our sin.
Hey, was this Jonah Hill or Channing Tatum?
No, it's Jonah Hill.
No!
Jonah Hill. It's so funny. But like when I think of like poets, you know what I mean? And like I feel like that is the stereotype of like
It is the stereotype.
like
it is. Like I remember being in this coaching session, these coaching sessions with these other more seasoned poets who would listen to other people get on stage, and all they did was drop F-bombs. And they were like, it's fine if the one or two gets your story across, but if it's not telling the story, there's no need for it. There's time.
Do you have any F-bombs in yours?
No. That's not how I do it. I mean, like when I'm with just me alone with Jesus, I'm just like, Lord, God can take me and all of me.
Yeah.
Between me and the Lord. But yeah, I don't know, like when it comes to like spoken word, like poetry and the stereotype and like people yelling, I don't feel like that should be like, oh, the only form of poetry, because poetry should be about storytelling. And but storytelling where some of the words rhyme. Like, it's just how I feel like it clicks a little bit better for me.
How like, how do I put this? I know we kind of briefly touched about this,
Yeah.
and I might have to edit this question out if it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
uh, as you do this, can you try to break down your? I don't. I think I don't. What blows my mind, and throughout this whole conversation, I'm like, as we're talking about this,
Hmm.
how do you write from such a vulnerable state?
You know, you brought up earlier that I'm so brave, and there is this, I feel like there is this unspoken definition of what bravery looks like in society. Like when someone is so brave, that means that they're arms like this, they're out there doing the thing. And many times I feel like Superman and I have a kryptonite, or Batman with a phobia of spiders, Batman with a phobia of bats. And clearly I love the DC universe.
So much.
MCU all the way. Um, and you have all of these superheroes with all of these certain fears, but they go and do it anyway. And I think bravery is just moving forward and choosing to do something because there is this need to conquer that fear. And in the middle of doing it, I still feel afraid. I still feel alone. I still feel all of these feelings, like being vulnerable and sharing, and everyone telling me, "You're so brave. You're so brave. Wow, I applaud you." And I'm like, nothing in me wants to stand on the stage like, "Thank you. Thank you. Let me take a bow. Like, thank you so much for me being so brave." Like, I innately inside, I cringe every time someone says I'm so brave. But I have had to learn to accept it because I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people are talking about things out loud, but if what I say and what I do helps someone else realize that they are not alone, I will choose to continue to be vulnerable. It's why I am so open, and why I want to continue to be honest with people about where my headspace is or whatever, because I know in my core that I am not alone in these feelings. And if I could share a little bit of my process and my journey, then maybe other people won't feel so alone. Like, it's been the most encouraging thing, and the thing that's honestly helped me to keep pushing forward, to keep writing, has been hearing other people send me like DMs and comments and text messages and saying, "Thank you so much. Like, please keep doing this." To which I'm like, "Okay, I will." And that's going to be hard because here I am going to just lay my life open, and I'll film little snippets of my day, and those little snippets just tie together where I know how I want to start a video and how I want to end a video. Whatever else happens in between is just a day in my life or a weekend. And what I feel inspired by is honestly, sometimes I wake up to feeling like a theme in my head, and the theme can be so many things. And then I watch whatever I filmed back, and I let that encourage me too, and seeing like, I see what my kids are doing. I want to talk a little bit about that. How do I talk about that? How do I weave that story together? And that's a little bit like, I guess I answered like multiple questions in one.
No,
Is
that's
weaving
perfect.
weaving the story together by watching these videos back, and then remembering these comments from other people saying, "Please keep writing, please keep doing, please keep going forward."
Yeah, I mean, because you do like this vlog style thing within
Mm,
your poetry, and I don't know. I think that's what makes it cool. It's like a
yeah,
vlog, but it's also a poem. But you also put dope music in the background. But I don't know. It's
yeah.
so it's a whole like I don't know what's that? Is it smorgasbord? Is that like the thing that's got a lot of things on it?
A charcuterie board.
Charcuterie board. I think I got smorgasbord of that was from Ben Stiller.
Smorgasbord.
Yes. So, but anyways, I think how does your family feel about being in the videos?
Um, I mean, my kids are really young, and I try not to put them in too much of their faces or anything. I try to keep it as brief as I possibly can. With my husband, I film snippets that he's comfortable with, and then he always watches it back before I post anything. And then he's like, I love it. Like, that's really cool. I didn't know you filmed that moment. I'm so glad you did. And like, until they're not comfortable, I'll keep filming. But as like, I'll reserve little moments like bath time just for us or dinner time just for us. But when we're on a walk, when we're out doing other things, like, oh, that's a cute moment. I just want to film that really quick because I love that the little interaction that Ben just had with the kids. Like, I'll film those moments. And I'm glad I do because I get to look back on it and be like, I love that. I love being reminded of my life here on this side of heaven.
I think it's cool when you like, I think that you do a good job of like recording and taking videos and these moments you have with your family, but without trying to be like that Instagram mom. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not a knock to if you choose to do that. Like, you know, you do you, but like, it's cool to see that like you highlight like these great beautiful moments of you just of like your kids snuggling you. You know what I mean? And you snuggling with them. Well, at the same time, you're talking about like, yeah, today sucked. You know what I mean? And but like I think a lot of times we get this idea of like it's. I feel like I struggle with this a lot as an artist, as a dad, as a husband, as a Christian. You know what I mean? Like I look at someone on Instagram like, oh, they're doing better than me, and it becomes this sense of like rage and anger and frustration that I have with myself or the world, or I want to blame on everything else. It's like, yeah, well, like so and so's got this life going on. It's great, and you know, and I think there is something to be said about like you are capturing these sweet, beautiful moments that you'll be able to cherish with your family. But when you share them with us, you're sharing it in this raw space of like, hey, like I got this moment right here, but it's not always this way. It's not always this easy. It doesn't always look this nice. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's hard. That's why social media is so hard. And I feel like it's just preaching to the choir at this point where we know that social media can be so toxic. But it also means like you can either follow someone on social media or not follow someone, depending on how encouraged you feel by it. If it's something that fuels your rage and your and in a negative headspace, don't follow it anymore. Don't follow that person. Don't be in that headspace. But I think I've tried to be as like open about things not being as peachy. Like I remember posting this one Christmas photo. Let me see if I can find it on my Insta, where we tried to take like a cute family photo and legit it was a disaster. Like I posted like the one cute picture and then following like all the bad ones. Like here's where we're at. Like this is just life, you know, like this is just bad. And I feel like those are moments I want to keep sharing because it doesn't matter how pretty of a filter you have. Life is going to be life. And I want people to embrace being humanity, and not being afraid to just like, hey, this is gritty. And I'm not trying to be like other people, which again, no shade to those people who make their platform and their whole aesthetic super pretty and neat and put together. That's not me. My life is messy. This is what it's going to look like sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow me to make sure that you feel better about your life, that's fine too.
I think you do give me a lot of like encouraging moments. I don't know, even just especially your last video was what like really made it very encouraging. I don't know what it was about that specific one. I think also it just helps, like it is a little bit of a relief to see another poet that's like calm and quiet. I don't know. One, because I am
that
not
is
calm and
my
quiet.
that is my goal. Honestly, that's my goal. Like I want to be calm. I want to be in this place where people can just sit and feel relaxed.
I I just wrote my first calm poem. Like I'm talking about, like, there's I write very much for the intention to perform it, right? So I had to be
Mm,
a little more theatrical, I think, within my
yeah.
style. So
Yeah.
like I'll start off sometimes really calm and then I gear it up and I take down, or sometimes I just come out the gate swinging, and it usually just depends. But like I think it's also the one I wrote when I hadn't gotten close to the healing process yet. It's on my Instagram. It's called Some Days. But like that was the first time I think I wrote something that was like usually I write something that's like towards the end of the healing stage, but like, I can kind of cover it up. That was the first one I wrote. It's like, I'm right here at the beginning.
Yeah.
But as far as, okay, writing, I've been meaning to ask this question this whole time. I keep forgetting to ask it. So
I'm waiting.
I am not doing a great job tonight. Um,
You're
you,
great. This is a
oh,
great
thank
natural flowing conversation. I'm here for it.
you. You write. This is the most impressive thing about your writings. Also, in my mind, is that you fit within the time frame of a TikTok video, and it's
Mm,
still really good, right? Like I don't
yeah.
know if I have. How long do you have in TikTok? What, they're like a minute?
A minute. 60 seconds is the max. And it's funny you mention that because my husband, Ben, he's such a creative and brilliant genius. He's also a writer. And he says that what he loves about the TikTok platform is that it forces you to create in a restricted time space. When if all you have is 60 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever, then that's all you're given. Use your rations wisely. And if as a creator
Mm,
you're not able to properly communicate in those 60 seconds, did you succeed in your creative process? Were you able to tell a story from beginning to end and weave it together in a cohesive way? And that's what I love about the restrictions, because I'm not rambling on, because then I know all people have is a minute. All I have is a minute. All right, let's get to it.
yeah, that's dope. Uh, I don't know. That's so good. I saw your videos and I was like, I wonder if I can do something like this. And I think
You
I like,
can.
nah. I talk, I talk a lot. I just do. I am a rambler.
Podcast platform is perfect.
That is why I did it. I'm like, yeah. I start off with the co-host, and now I'm like borderline actively, like halfway actively looking for another co-host, so I can just talk more and more and more. So it's like, but
Yeah.
but I don't know. Anyways, what one question I want to kind of, before we wrap up, who like who is who are you trying to write your poetry for? Like who is like the target audience?
So my since becoming a mother, I've felt like I lost a little sense of identity where I'm like, okay, who do I encourage? Who do I talk to? And my biggest audience that I want to reach are young women, young people in general, whoever is encouraged by it, more power to you, pop off. But young women, mothers, and people struggling with mental health and depression. Like, I just recently realized that I more than likely had an undiagnosed ADHD as a child, and I am currently seeking treatment for that. And it's probably why my medication's currently not doing it for me. I need to be in therapy for that. And I want to, what I share and what I do, I want people of those categories to come on and realize it's a safe space. You're welcome. I want you to be here to be encouraged. I want you to be here. Please stay a while, as long as it's still encouraging for you. I want the moms to realize they're not alone if they feel postpartum depression. I want the young women to realize, like, it's not perfect after marriage. Like, marriage should not be the end all be all goal if you're a Christian. Like, it shouldn't be. Like, it's frustrating that that's been the culture where it's like, yes, and you just started dating for a week. Okay, when are you getting married? Let me picture what your kids look like.
Yes.
Like, can y'all stop? Like, stop doing that. Stop putting that pressure on young people. And I want the people who struggle with the mental health and depression and anxiety to realize that they're also not alone, and that I just want them to feel encouraged. I rambled, but
No.
it is what it is.
Okay, you dropped so many gems. Like one, I remember when me and my wife first started dating. Like literally, we hadn't announced it yet, right? We hadn't told anybody we were dating. Like not that
Mhm.
that's like an announcement, but like, but
Yeah.
one friend knew, and he told his girlfriend, which we were cool because we were super close. They introduced us,
Mhm.
and I remember I walked up to her at church, and she's like, "You two, come here," and then she like told. And thank God it worked out. But like, she told who was then my girlfriend. She's like, "Oh yeah, when you and Marvin get married,"
Stop.
and she was
Stop.
like, "Yo, I've known him for like a month." You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if I like
Stop
him. And let me
it.
tell you, I bamboozled her. She did not know what she was getting into. So like,
Well, I think if you're the couple in that relationship, only you guys really know where your heads are at. But outside
yeah.
influences, don't do that. Don't do that.
Can I ask you, I don't know how much time you have. Can I ask you a question about what you
I
just
have
said?
time. Yeah,
Okay.
please. I
You
have
said
time.
something and that like almost made my jaw drop. You said that when after you I wasn't sure if you said after kids or after you were married, but you struggled to find your identity.
Yes.
I don't know if a lot of people, especially if you're not married, and especially if you don't have kids, know what that means. And I think I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but like,
You can
as
talk.
you,
Talk. We're here. I'm here
not
for
like,
you too.
not another podcast, but so okay, so can you try to break that down if you're okay with that?
I remember when one of my best friends, this was after she had her first daughter, she said that she was struggling a lot trying to find her identity. And at the time, I wasn't pregnant yet. We didn't even have kids yet. I thought to myself, just seek God. There's your identity, you know? And
Mm,
I feel like that was such an ignorant moment in my mind. Like I never shared that out loud with anyone. But then after becoming a mom myself and then two kids later, I'm like, who am I? And suddenly last year, I was like, fresh stay at home mom. I left my job of 3 years, to be home full time with the kids. And I thought, great, this is going to be a great year. We know how 2020 went, right?
yeah.
And it's when I felt like my mental health started to spiral again. And I struggled a lot with if I'm failing as a mom and I'm failing as a wife and I'm failing at spending time with God, who am I? What am I doing? Am I am I really am I really doing what I felt like God has called me to do? And I remember, back in college when I first got to UF, they asked me, "Do you know what your call is? Like, what's your calling?"
Mm,
And oh man, that memory just triggers me so much because as someone who I had backslid and I just started coming back to the Lord, I thought, okay, what's my call? And I struggled with that question for months. And I'm like, I don't know what my call is. What's my calling? Like, what am I doing here on this earth? And then I thought, oh, duh. One morning I woke up and I felt like it was this Holy Spirit epiphany moment. I'm called to love God, love people, and just abide in Him. That's what I'm called to do. Abide in the Lord. That's it. And after becoming a mom, I thought, well, if I don't have a job anymore and I'm not involved in any ministries or, or life groups or community groups or whatever, Bible studies, and I'm just with my kids like 24/7, I lose a piece of I've lost a piece of myself. And that's when Ben and I were like, okay, I decided to get a part-time job working in the kids center of a gym nearby. And I feel like I have a sense of responsibility in a new way. Not saying that being a mom has no responsibility, but I feel like it's not just my kids, not just me trying to teach. the kids about their emotions and being good listeners and obeying. It's not just about that. It's okay, there is life outside of here. Let's learn how to assimilate back into society a little bit. Let me learn a little bit about how I converse with other people. Like, am I going to be an encourager? And am I going to be a Debbie Downer? Like, who am I going to be? And I feel like with each day, I'm learning still. There are ebbs and flows, of course. Been a bit of a roller coaster today. I've hit a lot of low points. But at the end of my night now, I'm feeling like I feel like there's this perseverance in me to want to keep moving forward. Like, I'm not going to lie, when I was driving home tonight, I almost crashed because of the snow. And it's a stretch of road on the highway that is under heavy construction, and it's very suddenly left, right, left, right. And because of how slippery the road was, I almost crashed into the wall and I almost crashed into the car in front of me. And I felt like, oh God, oh God. And I yelled out an S bomb. Like, I don't know if you have people cussing on your podcast, but I was like, shit.
All the time.
I was like, okay. I was like, shit. Like, and in that moment, I'm like, I have to keep driving. I don't want to die. I want to keep living because I want, if anything in my life, I want my life to be a reflection for the glory of God. And I don't know if this is like, I don't know. I have no idea if you're a Christian or if you're not a Christian, or like, I have no idea.
Are you talking to me or the
Yeah.
podcast? Oh yeah.
You.
Yeah, I am a Christian. Yes.
You are. That's what I thought. And I didn't think your podcast, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't
My podcast is not, I am.
I'm so thankful for that. And going back to identity, this is why I tell you that I'm thankful for that. My favorite quote ever. Let me pull it up real quick. Hold on. It's a okay. It's a quote by Martin Luther. Promise, it's one of my favorite quotes. The Christian shoemaker does his duty not by putting little crosses on the shoes, but by making good shoes because God is interested in good craftsmanship. Favorite quote, because my identity still goes back to, yes, it is in Christ, but I'm still learning what it means to abide. I'm learning what it means to, like, be in the word, but also learning to live grace day by day. I'm learning. And I feel like finding identity is still learning. We're not going to have it figured out in this life. Nothing is figured out. And I feel like anyone who says, oh yes, here's the key to success, that's no, you don't have the key. There is no key to success because there is no overnight sensation. It's people who work hard, who have been doing the work behind the scenes, not seeking clout or fame or anything like that. It's people who just do the work. And if there is a natural occurrence where other people appreciate that work, then great. I'm going to keep doing the work. Yes.
If I could go back, I used to do a lot of youth ministry, and I did a little bit of college, but like I did a lot more youth ministry. If I could go back and adjust one thing that I like would teach the young people, I would want them to know you don't need to know what your calling is in high school.
Yes.
I am 30 and I'm just figuring out what I want to do with my life.
I still look at you and I'm thinking, oh, it's Marvin. Yeah, he's 22.
Thank you. That's really encouraging. I part of it's also like hard being turning 30 is hard. I wrote a movie and I want to be in it, and I'm so scared of like taking too long to shoot it because like what if I age out of the own part I wrote for myself? You know what I mean?
No, this needs to happen. Fear. You got to make it happen.
I can't talk too much about it right now because I signed a couple of contracts, but it's, there's things in the works. So I'll keep you guys.
So happy for you. I can't wait to hear about it later.
Yeah.
But, so then when you go back and you want to tell your youth students, can you still tell them that today? Like, don't you still want to tell them that today?
I would tell anybody today, like, you don't have to have it figured out. It's so, like, I remember going to college and like, when I dropped out of college because I hated it. But like,
I feel that.
It's like there's so like, I mean, when you're 18, your brain isn't fully developed, and now you have to pick a major or what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And then, but when you're 16, you're like, especially if you
Dude,
grow up in the church, you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't tell you how many kids out here, like, I am called to be a pastor, I am called to do missions. I'm Hungary. I was like, have you ever been? Like, nope, but I watched a documentary and that really moved my heart. I'm like, well, like, I'm glad that moved your heart. I am glad that like that cause pushed you into action somewhere, right? Like, I want that to be a thing, but don't think like that is now what your whole life trajectory has to be. Don't think that is what your
right.
whole focus has to be. You could still be an artist and still impact these things, like I have a
Yeah.
podcast yet, but like, I mean, it's funny. I talk about in the intro, I always say, talking to my creative artists and advocates, right? I think you're both in a lot of ways, an artist and advocates, but
Oh,
like I used to like, okay, I don't live in the mission field, but I can have Dr. Bertrude Albert, Priscilla Zelai, like those two incredible minded people on this platform talking about the works that they're doing overseas. You know what I mean? And that is not saying like, okay, I'll never go overseas, but like it doesn't have to be a fully one direct way. You can do it in a way that is meant for you. You are designed to be who you are. You know what I
yes.
mean? So like,
I think
if
you
it
you
doesn't
hit it right
make
on the head.
sense.
You said it perfectly. Yes, exactly. And you said it perfectly, where it's like your brain's not fully developed at 18 and they're asking you to figure out all of these things. Which I'm like, more power to you if you're strong-willed and determined about that career path. Good for you. So happy for you.
Yeah.
But to put that pressure on young people to have it figured out is such a detriment to who they believe they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like some of the most famous actors didn't hit fame until they were literally 60.
Yeah.
And there's this one actor, I always forget his name. He was a doctor, a practicing doctor, had a
Oh,
family practice.
yeah.
What's his name again?
I don't know. The Asian guy,
Yes.
right? He's in a lot. He was in
Yes, he's
Knocked
Asian.
Up
I forgot his name.
and oh,
He was in so
yeah.
many movies. He's in so many movies. He was in Community and everything. But he was a practicing physician until he decided to like pursue his comedy. Like we don't have to have it figured out. We don't
Yeah.
have to. And I want people to feel like to just shed off these pressures, these external pressures they feel, and just for them to journal what their passions are. And if it's working part-time, like temporarily in a job you don't like, that's fine. You don't have to be there forever. No one's asking you to be there as the end all be all. Like my husband wants to be a full-time writer. He's not there yet. He's in his full-time job right now and he's still writing his passion on the side. Like it's not an either or, it's a both. It meshes together.
Yeah. That is it is a really hard learning process, especially the older you get. It's like, oh, I missed my shot. And it's like, no. And I say this now, and I know when my
No,
wife listens back to this podcast, she's gonna be like, yeah, I never got so many conversations because this is like the biggest thing I talk about and like whine about at home. It's like, I'm old, I missed my shot. And she's like, not really though, and now I'm on the podcast, like,
you
you didn't miss
didn't. You
your.
don't.
Yeah. And it
I'm
is
32, turning 33 this year. That's weird for me, but like I never would have imagined doing what I'm doing now as a mom and doing poetry like the way that I love to do when I was in my 20s. Like when I was in my 20s, I thought I was going to be working in Hollywood as an assistant director, like producing, like that's what I thought I was going to do until I was working there and had conversations with people who are in the industry asking me serious questions. What do you want to do in this career field? And I said, I want to be an assistant director. And they're like, and you want kids? And I said, yes. And they said, good luck. Either you're not going to have kids or you're never going to see your kids. And that terrified me. It terrified me because I knew that in my gut what I wanted in my future, which was to have children and to be in their lives. And it's not saying that I can't go back to that and back to being in film and whatever, but at that time Mm-mm. I can go back to it later, but right now the priority is raising the kids.
Yeah. I don't know why I never called you when I was writing my movie. I was struggling so much. I was like, I had no idea
No,
what I was doing.
I
But
mean, maybe the Lord had like his own timing for things because I was probably going through postpartum depression still, so we're good.
um gosh, I'm so glad you came on this podcast. I'm so glad that
I'm so
that
thankful for you. I'm so
yeah,
glad you reached out.
yeah, absolutely. Sorry. So where can people find you?
Um, Monique Schmitt underscore, I think, on Insta. I think. What am I? Um,
Um you are a
yeah, Monique
human and
Schmidt.
you are loved. That's who
I,
you are.
I, I am human and I am loved. My Insta. Wait, is that what you're asking me?
No, because you
Where can
said
people find me?
yeah. Well, you said
Okay.
what am I? And I was like, you are a human. I hate that when people
Yes.
ask me about like my nationality, because I'm Puerto Rican, and they're like, "So, dude, like, what are you?" I'm like, "Shut up!"
No,
I'm
no, no,
like,
no, no, no. It's like that's a bad question phrasing. I feel like it should be, "What's your ethnicity?"
"Yes,
Because
I'm
if
fine with
hey, what's
that."
your ethnicity? Yeah, because I
Yeah,
love asking people their ethnicity. It's my favorite thing to ask, but not like, "What are you?" That's
it's
stupid.
like, yeah. So,
I
quick tangent.
literally just found out that I'm 78% Portuguese and I'm 11% sub-Saharan African.
What?
I know. I'm Brazilian, so our ancestors come from the slave trade from Africa and the Portuguese.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
It does. It does. Sad history. but but yes, my Instagram is Monique Schmitt underscore. That's my Instagram. And right now I don't oh, and my TikTok is poetry.in.me.
That's awesome. I love it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, listen, go check out Monique. Her poetry is truly amazing. I feel like I have more authority to say that than most because I actually do poetry and I'm the GOAT. So,
Yes.
anyways, I'm just kidding. I am not the GOAT. I am not. But anyways, go listen to Monique, subscribe to the podcast, share with your friends, leave a comment down below, and we're out.
We out.